الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على حي على حي على حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون इन आयात का तर्जुमा है कि ऐ वो लोगो जो ईमान लाए हो.
Hazur says the translation of the verses just recited is, O ye who believe, seek help from Allah with patience and prayer. Surely Allah is with the steadfast. And say not of those who are killed in the cause of Allah that they are dead. Nay, they are living, only you perceive not. And we will surely try you with something of fear and hunger, and loss of wealth and lives and fruits. But give glad tidings to the patient. Those who, when a misfortune overtakes them, they say, surely to Allah we belong, and to Him we shall return. It is these on whom are blessings from their Lord and mercy, and it is these who are rightly guided. In the past few days in Indonesia, demonstrating beastly and barbaric activities, the opponents of Ahmadiyyat, with regard to the 3 Ahmadis that they martyred, because of this, every Ahmadi is extremely grief-stricken. However, as always, acting upon the commandments of Almighty Allah the Ahmadiyya Muslim community collectively as a Jamaat, and also every Ahmadi individually being a believer in Allah, their way has always been this, to display an attitude of patience in the loss of life, wealth, or loss of any other nature. We are content with the pleasure of Almighty Allah, and we suffer these losses. And we say this, that Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. In other words, surely to Allah we belong, and to Him we shall return. This precisely is the sign of a believer expounded by Allah the Almighty. With respect to the verses I just recited, today who can understand them better than Ahmadis? The enemies repeatedly treat us in this manner, and we repeatedly keep these verses in view, and we go on reciting them. In terms of the sacrifice of life, wealth, or property, whether it is given by an Ahmadi of Indonesia, or whether it is given by an Ahmadi of Pakistan, or whether this sacrifice is given by an Ahmadi of any other country, the spirit of the splendor and glory of believers, this demonstration of the spirit has been infused into the heart of every Ahmadi by the Holy Prophet ﷺ's true lover. This is a common factor in Ahmadis everywhere, that for the sake of Allah the Almighty, any loss being inflicted upon them, and for the sake of Allah the Almighty, any sacrifice being required by Him, they have repeatedly said the same thing to us. And this was practically exhibited by our Master, the Holy Prophet, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. And this very spirit was infused by him into his companions, who then also provided a practical demonstration of this. In fact, upon the followers of every prophet, the enemies caused them hardship in their lives. When the Pharaoh of each era said to those who believed that either choose between losing your lives or turning back from your faith, choose one of these things, then the believers, they always displayed the strength of their faith. Even at the time of Hazrat Moses, when it was made evident to the magicians that compared to their magic, the magic they presented, what Hazrat Moses displayed was not any worldly magic. In fact, it was the divine help and succor. It was such a sign that could not be competed with by any worldly means. When this veracity was made apparent to them, that the message being conveyed by Hazrat Moses was a divine message, then they immediately believed in it. So because of this, the Pharaoh was seriously pained and aggrieved, and he was fuming with rage. And he said, because of this act of yours, I will mete out such a terrifying punishment that you will always remember. So those who believed, they responded in the same way to the Pharaoh, that we cannot give preeminence to you over the signs of Allah. We cannot give preference to you over faith in Allah. فَقْسِ مَا أَنْتَ قَاسٍ إِنَّمَا تَقْسِي هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. In other words, decree what you wish to try and turn us back from our faith. All you can do is end this worldly life of ours.
हमें जो मिलने वाला है
However,
वो उससे बहुत बढ़कर है
after having believed,
जिसकी
what we are about to receive for the sacrifice we made for Almighty Allah is much greater,
बस अगर मूसा
something your kingship cannot envisage at all.
इस ईमान का मुजाहिरा कर सकते हैं
So thus, if the followers of Hadrat Moses, they displayed and demonstrated this faith,
सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के मानने वाले हैं जिस पर
then we are the followers of that noble and greatest of all prophets, the seal of all prophets. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, upon whom the perfect and complete Sharia was revealed, by acting upon which we can reach the pinnacle of faith.
आने वाले इस
Furthermore,
के मानने वाले
according to the prophecies of the Holy Prophet, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, we are the adherents of that Messiah of Muhammad who was to appear
बात के जरिए हमारे ईमानों को मजबूत किया
and who brought back the faith from the Pleiades. Then through a long series of signs he strengthened our faith.
हम आज के फिरौनों या फिरौन के चेलों से डर कर अपना ईमान जाया कर
Thus, with regard to today's Pharaoh or the followers of today's Pharaoh,
तो खुदा ताला
are we to be intimidated and not waste our faith on them?
खुशखबरी दे रहा है
Whilst Allah the Almighty is giving us the glad tidings of Wabashir as-Sabirin,
पेश करने पर हमेशा की जिंदगी की बिशारत दे रहा है
by offering our lives and exhibiting patience, Allah is giving us the glad tidings of a perpetual life.
उन्हें ना धमकियां अपने नेक मकासद से हटा सकती हैं
So those people who have reached this state of faith,
जुल्म और बर्बरियत की इंतहा
threats cannot move them from their pious endeavor and objectives. Neither can the excesses of injustice and barbarism hinder them from remaining established on their faith.
किसी भी कोने में बस रहे हो
Thus, O enemies of Ahmadiyyat, wherever in the world you may be,
ते रख लो लेकिन हमें हमारे ईमानों से
whatever injustice you want to perpetrate against Ahmadis, do it.
हर जगह
But you will not be able to move us even an inch from our faith.
के फ़ख्ज़ मान तकाज़
You will hear the same replies from Ahmadis everywhere, that Faqse ma antaqas, that do whatever you want to do.
अहमदियों ने भी
You can never turn us back from our faith, inshallah, God willing.
वक्तन फ़वक्तन
The Ahmadis of Indonesia gave this very reply to the enemies.
लेकिन ईमान की दौलत से माला माल
From time to time they had been receiving threats,
इन धमकियों की
but these Ahmadis, who were replete with faith,
ये छोटी सी जमात है
they did not care about these threats at all.
सिर्फ 30 अफराद पर मुश्तमिल जमात है कुल
The Jamaat is very small where this incident occurred.
बच्चे शामिल हैं
It is a Jamaat of only 30 members in total,
फैमिलीज हैं 7 खानदान हैं सिर्फ
and this includes women and children also. There are only 7 families.
दुश्मन के सामने घुटने टेकने पर राजी न थे कि जमात से अलहदगी का
Yet they were not ready to submit to the enemy on this point,
इन नाम नहाद मुल्लाओं के पीछे चल पड़े
that they should announce that they had abandoned the Jamaat,
मुल्ला का वहाँ उस वक्त या इन जो उनके चेहरे
and that now they would follow these so-called mullahs.
कि अपने मौलम को यहाँ से
The mullahs or their followers at that time, their principal demand was that the muallim should be removed.
बल्कि वहीं उसी कस्बे का रहने वाला था वहीं का
When the muallim was not an outsider, he was not somebody who had come from somewhere else. In fact, he was a resident of that town and he was a local of that area.
हद से ज़्यादा बढ़नी शुरू हुई तो साथ की
So anyhow, when the
के
opposition had surpassed the limits,
वक्तों में ड्यूटी के लिए वहाँ आया करते
then from the neighboring Jamaats, 20 khadam would come from time to time from duties.
वहाँ मिशन हाउस में आके बैठते थे वो कि ये लोग कहीं मिशन हाउस पर कब्जा ना कर लें
They would sit in the mission house,
अमूमन पुलिस
that may not the opponents come and seize and grab the mission house.
और यही तरीक रहा है हमारे साथ इन लोगों
Because
का
normally the opponents had the support of the local police, and this was a normal way of treating us.
मिशन हाउस या मस्जिद खाली करते हैं इनके कहने पर इंतजामिया के या लोगों के वजह से
That whenever we vacated any house or mission house or mosque at the behest of the administration, then they would lock it up or hand it over to our opponents.
गुज़श्ता कई साल से तजुर्बा हो रहा था
Or if they captured those people, the administration would not ask them to vacate it. This is what has been experienced for the past several years.
हमारे लोग
They said we are not going to vacate it ever.
और अंदर बैठे थे
So our people were sitting in the mission house, and they were sitting inside.
ग्रांतियों
When the cruel people attacked, they went inside with knives, swords and sticks, and they wounded the Ahmadis and dragged them outside.
और ये सब कुछ देख रही थी
And this was all whilst the police were standing outside and they were observing everything that was going on.
और 5 को जख्मी किया सबने खबर सुन ली है
3 Ahmadis were martyred and 5 were injured.
अफराद जमात
Everybody has heard the news already.
ईमानी हालत
However, by the grace of Almighty Allah, the condition of every Ahmadi's faith remains strong as before. In fact, it has strengthened even further.
इंतहाई ज़ालिमाना तरीक़ पर किया गया ज़माना जाहिलियत के कुफार की मिसाल कायम कर
All of this was done in a most extremely cruel manner. The example of the disbelievers of the age of ignorance has been re-established.
उस रहमतुल आलमीन
It is unfortunate and reprehensible that these cruel so-called Muslims, as usual, did this in the name of that mercy for mankind, who came to spread mercy.
जंग में भी बाज़ उसूल मुकर्रर फरमाए थे कि इनकी पाबंदी
And this great Prophet, who assigned rules even in the battlefield or war to be followed,
मकतूलों को भी उनके बारे में भी यह
even those people who were killed for certain war crimes,
यूरोप में आम रवाज था
it was instructed regarding them that they should not be mutilated, as was a common practice at that time amongst Arabs.
मज़हब तो एक
Because he said that dead bodies should not be treated dishonorably at any cost.
को भी खिलाफ है
Leaving aside religion, this is against even the basic tenets of humanity.
वाले इन ज़ालिमों ने ऐसे ज़ालिमाना तौर पर
But those who attacked our Ahmadis, these cruel people, they desecrated the dead bodies in such a cruel manner that the dead bodies could not even be recognized.
दोबारा पहचान
When the first report came, they mistakenly mentioned some other people's names. But when identified them again, then it was revealed that actually these are some other people.
उनके अजीज़ों ने आके फिर मुख्तलिफ निशानियों से उन लाशों को पहचाना
Their relatives came and through various indications, they identified the corpses.
हुरमती में कुफार को भी मात कर दिया
These people have even outdone the disbelievers in how they desecrated the dead bodies.
इनकी हरकतों पर जो हमारे प्यारों की शहादत
However, our hearts, with regard to this disgracing of the dead bodies of our beloved martyrs,
बेशक गमज़दा तो है और बेकरार है
and this mutilation of the dead bodies, although our hearts are certainly immersed in grief and anxiety,
देखा वो ये है
however, the main injustice that they committed, as I have already mentioned,
हमारे आका और मौला
the main injustice is this, that they did all of this in the name of our master and beloved, the Muhsin-e-Insaniyat, and the mercy for all mankind. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. They did this all in his name.
कि मुल्क की प्रेस ने भी इसकी खबरें देकर दी हैं
This was such a cruel action that even the national newspapers have featured this news.
ये इंसानियत सोच
And they actually declined to show the video because they said this was so inhuman.
मुनाजर जो हैं कि हम
The national and international press said that we cannot show these appalling scenes. This is not something worthy of being shown.
जो अमूमन खबरें दे देता है इस किस्म की इस हरकत पर
The channel Al Jazeera, which normally shows this kind of news,
अल जज़ीरा ने अपनी खबरों में बताया
even they decided they could not show this act.
और दर्दनाक मंजर था
Al Jazeera said in the news that this was a horrific and a sorrowful scene.
अहमदियों के घरों पर हमलावर था
The police were standing there,
कहता है फिर कत्ल कर लोग
and a procession of people arrived and attacked the Ahmed houses.
और 3 आदमियों को नंगा करके
They said that then the massacre began.
चाकुओं और नेज़ों से मारे गए
3 men were stripped and were beaten with knives and sticks.
तस्वीरें खींची गई हैं वो ऐसी नहीं कि दिखाई जा सकती
And they said that the video footage and photographs of this incident are such that they could not even be shown.
खिलाफ जो ये ज़ालिमाना कार्रवाई हुई है
The Asian Human Rights Commission said
मुकामी लोग
that the aggression against the Ahmadiyya
मुताबिक सही समझते हैं वो मुकामी लोगों से मुराद वो जो करने वाले थे
is justified by the local residents based on the Indonesian Ulama's Council's declaration. By local resident is meant those who perpetrated this act. So these are the ulama of today,
कामों को इस्लाम के नाम पर
who incite the Muslims to perform, in the name of Islam, cruel and inhuman acts carried out thousands of years ago.
The Economist है उसने लिखा है कि ये जुल्म मुसलमानों और ईसाइयों की लड़ाई की वजह से नहीं हुआ.
Then there is The Economist, and they have written that this cruelty did not occur out of the Muslim versus Christian attacks.
फिर लिखता है कि अगर तुम में
In fact, this was an attack by Muslims against men who claimed to be their own fellows.
इस जालमाना अमल की फिल्म देखने की ताकत हो
It continues
कि जालमाना
that if anyone has the stomach to watch this barbaric act on video, then you will see that this horrific murder was on a different scale entirely,
और महज़ब दुनिया से बईद
and it is something unimaginable that this could be done by anyone in this civilized world.
अब हम बहुत सारे हमारे
And they continue that this has left other citizens in the area shaken.
देखी है यही लिखा है कि एक आदमी से
Many Ahmadis have also watched this video, and whoever has watched it, they have written this to me, that they could not watch beyond 1 minute or so of this video.
और रोने लगी.
One lady wrote to me
थे कि क्या वजह
that I watched this video secretly away from my children, and I started crying, and the children became apprehensive that what has happened to our mother, why is she crying?
अल्जेरियन एमडी मेरे पास आए और जिक्र करते ही धाड़े मार मार के रोने
Similarly, an Algerian Ahmadi came to meet me, and as soon as this incident was mentioned, he started weeping bitterly.
लेकिन
It was such a dreadful spectacle that a person cannot endure it.
कर दिए कि वहाँ खड़े सारे नज़ारे पर वो तालियां बजाते रहे.
But these people have even hardened the hearts of their children, so much so that they were standing there cheering it on.
सबने तकरीबन इस तरह की खबरें लिखी हैं. जकार्ता
The New York Times, the Financial Times, they have all featured the same news.
उसमें एक मजमून निगार
The Jakarta Post,
मजमून है वो लिखता है
which is their newspaper, one of its writers has written an article in which he writes
वजह से भी हुआ
that the fresh attacks on the members of Jamaat Ahmadiyya, whatever reason it may have occurred,
किसी भी किस्म के
it makes plain that in our society, for the minority groups, there are no civilized sentiments or consideration whatsoever.
तामीर वतन में बराबर के हिस्सेदार हैं.
Whilst these Ahmadis and also other groups played an equal role in the establishment of our country.
क्या इंडोनेशिया की तारीख का हमेशा के लिए
He writes that this
हिस्सा बन
sorrowful incident can never be removed from the history of Indonesia.
की तालीम गैर इस्लामी है इसलिए उनको
Then he writes that as for those who claim that the teachings of Ahmadiyyat are non-Islamic, and this is why they have no right to live,
फिर लिखता है
all such people have strayed from the right path.
और तरक्की पसंद सोच अहमदी स्कॉलर्स ने ही
He writes that the new thought and forward-thinking ideas in Indonesia in the 20th century have been provided by Ahmadi scholars.
सदर सुकारनो भी शामिल हैं.
And he continues that our leaders,
जमात अहमदिया
including the President Sukarno, they have studied the translation of the Holy Quran written by the scholar of Jamaat Ahmadiyya. It was that Holy Quran through which he obtained comprehension of it and through which he increased in knowledge. Then he writes that we are certainly
की इस मुल्क के
very grateful to this minority group. The services of Jamaat Ahmadiyya for this country are invaluable.
ये लिखने वाले
So Hazur says this is the summary of this article that I just presented.
बहरहाल
And this writer is a lecturer of the Yogyakarta Islamic University.
से खबरें शाया की हैं.
So anyhow, Jakarta Post, Jakarta Globe and other newspapers have all published news with regard to this. And they have very strongly condemned this act and incident,
कम अज़ कम
and have vigorously drawn the attention of the government.
ये ज़रूरत तो है कि जुल्म के खिलाफ उन्होंने आवाज़ उठाई.
So at least this courage is found in the media and educated people there, that they have raised this voice against this injustice. There are people who speak out.
काश की ज़रूरत पाकिस्तान के पढ़े
From some of these people who express their opinion, we can hope for the betterment of the nation. If only the same courage were born in the educated people of Pakistan as well as the press of Pakistan.
जैसा कि हमेशा से इलाही जमातों से
Opposition to Jamaat Ahmadiyya in Indonesia is not anything new,
शैतान का सलूक रहा है. जमात अहमदिया की भी
as has always been the way of established governments against divinely sanctioned Jamaats and also the way of Satan with them.
मुखालफत
So Jamaat Ahmadiyya has continually been opposed in one way or another, in particular in Islamic countries.
जमात के क़याम से ही
And this continues frequently.
हमेशा मुल्ला
In Indonesia, this opposition against the Jamaat existed since its inception and establishment there.
और इंडोनेशिया में जमात के
The mullah has always been deviated from the right path.
हमेशा मुखालफत
And the mullah has always opposed the Jamaat in Indonesia.
तरीका यही है कि किसी मुल्क का मुल्ला है उसने हक को मानना नहीं क्योंकि इनके अपने
So this has always been the way of the mullah. Whatever country he may be in, he will not accept the truth because they have vested interests. They believe that if they accept the truth, then their income will cease and they themselves will become devalued or insignificant.
बहरहाल मैं आज
And the truth regarding their knowledge will also be made evident.
मुख्तलिफ तारीख और जुल्मों का भी जिक्र कर देता
Nonetheless, today
हूं शुहदा का जिक्र करूंगा
I would like to present a brief introduction to the history of Indonesia
इस्लाम
and also persecution. Then I will also mention the martyrs later.
और अहमदियत का पैगाम नफूज
The revival of Islam in Indonesia and the inception of Ahmadiyyat in Indonesia,
इस मुल्क को ये एजाज़ और फ़ख्र हासिल
it occurred in an amazing manner according to divine will.
दिया कि
The country of Indonesia have this pride and this honor that 4 members
कोई मुबल्लिग
went to the headquarters in Qadian and accepted Ahmadiyyat themselves. They had the fortune to do this. No missionary was sent to Indonesia that established Jamaat there. In fact, 4 members from Indonesia, they went to Qadian themselves. And they did not come with the purpose to become Ahmadi.
माटरा के 4 नौजवान
In fact, they were traveling around.
अयूब साहब
The details are is that in 1923 in Sumatra, 4 youngsters,
हलान साहब और हाजी महमूद
Maulvi Abu Bakr Ayub Sahib, Muhtaram Maulvi Ahmad Nuruddin Sahib, Mukarram Maulvi Zaini Dahlan Sahib, and Mukarram Haji Mahmud Sahib came to attain religious knowledge from Sumatra to India. According to divine decree, they went to Calcutta, Lucknow, and then after Lahore they went to Qadian. In August 1923, these 4 youngsters,
खास की कि हमारी दीनी तालीम
they came before Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani, that is these 4 youngsters,
कोई कलाम हो
and they requested that please make arrangements for our religious knowledge and moral training. And Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani accepted their request,
इन पर अहमियत की
and he made arrangements for their religious training.
अहमियत कबूल कर ली
And during the training, the reality and truth of Ahmadiyyat became apparent on them, and they accepted Ahmadiyyat.
बैत करने वाले इंडोनेशियन नौजवानों ने बैत के बाद फिर अहमदियत के मुल्क से
So these young Indonesians who took the Pledge of Allegiance in Qadian,
मुकर करने की कोशिश की
after attaining the illuminating light of Ahmadiyyat, they tried to quickly illuminate their country with Ahmadiyyat as well. Sitting in Qadian, they started writing letters to their relatives in Indonesia.
तो खलीफत मसीह सानी
And in this way, the propagation of the faith began in Indonesia as well.
29 नवंबर 1924 को
When Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani returned from his tour of Europe on 29 November 1924,
इन तलबा ने हुजूर से इस्तक़ामत
then a welcoming ceremony was given in honor of Hazrat Muslih Maud, the second Khalifa.
भेजे फरमाए
So these youngsters of Indonesia, they said to Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani that please also consider the islands of the east. At that time, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani promised that either myself or my representative will go there. Subsequently, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani appointed Hazrat Maulvi Rahmat Ali Sahib, and he was sent there.
पर सफ़र करते हुए सितंबर 1925 में इस मुल्क में पहुंचे
And he went to Indonesia by ship, and he arrived on 17th September 1925.
टुआन में वाले थे
And in first of all, in a small abode of Aceh, Tapataon, he went there.
लोग थे
The society and culture over there was completely else. The language is different. The people were different as well. He did not know anyone at that time. But all these initial situations and difficulties, through Hazrat Maulvi Sahib's courage and endeavor, he overcame all of that. And alongside learning the language, he also performed individual tabligh, propagation of the faith.
बस मौलवी साहब खुदा ताला ने
Moreover, he held debates and discussions with scholars. God Almighty blessed Hazrat Maulvi Sahib with his help and succor.
कायम हो गई
And in only a few months, by the grace of Allah the Almighty,
उसके बाद
the first Jamaat of Indonesia was established. And 8 members took the Pledge of Allegiance into the Jamaat. And then after this, people started taking the Pledge of Allegiance to bed.
बहरहाल एक लंबी तस्वीर है हज़रत साहब को
Anyhow, this is a lengthy detail.
आगाज में मुश्किलात का सामना करना पड़ा, एक जुबान का भी मसला अपनी फालतू
As I stated in the inception, Hazrat Maulvi Sahib faced many difficulties. There was the problem of language and there was opposition against him. And then the culture was quite different, there were different traditions. But as I have mentioned, Hazrat Maulvi Sahib overcame all of these issues.
अहमदियों की कुतुब और मज़ामीन न पढ़े जाएं।
There the scholars raised an edict that the books of Ahmadis and their articles should not be read, and neither should you listen to any of their lectures.
उन्होंने मुकामी अहमदियों को बाइकाट
When the local Ahmadis started increasing in number, then the people there, they started boycotting the local Ahmadis. And they boycotted them to this extent that even the newspapers were not ready to publish any news about them. Nobody was ready to publish any article with this respect. The opposition reached this stage that groups of 3,000 strong would gather outside the abode of Hazrat Maulvi Sahib and raise slogans and use foul language. And they would use profane and foul language and raise slogans of this sort.
उसके बाद हाजी महमूद साहब भी वहाँ आ गए, उनको मौलवी
Nonetheless, after this, Haji Mahmud Sahib also arrived in Indonesia.
कि मैं अहमदियत छोड़ता हूँ।
So the Maulvis, in this way, they compelled him to write a letter that I have left Ahmadiyyat. And then they made an announcement based on this, and a lot of hue and cry was raised because of this, and then opposition reached an excessive level after this. Anyhow, Haji Mahmud Sahib later on realized, and he became safe from the plans and schemes of the scholars, and Allah safeguarded him. And in fact, the ulama came to know that our intrigue has come to naught. So then unanimously and united, they tried to turn out Maulvi Rahmat Ali Sahib from the country.
हुकाम ने हमें कह दिया कि मजहबी मामलात
And members of the government and representatives of the government were approached, but they said, in terms of religious affairs, we will not interfere with it.
दिसंबर 1927 में पढ़ांग में
So anyhow, this continued in this manner. And then in December 1927, in Padang, with the non-Ahmadi scholars, a debate was held. Senior scholars and also newspaper editors and representatives of the government were all present. In this debate, the missionary of Jamaat Ahmadiyya, he had the upper hand in the intellectual duel, as was destined and as was to happen. And the opponents had to face defeat. As a result of this, new paths for the tabligh of the Ahmadiyyat were formed. And because of this, a third Jamaat
इसमें
in Doko was formed.
रहमत अली साहब अक्टूबर में वापस कादियान तशरीफ लाए।
In 1928, Hazrat Maulvi Rahmat Ali Sahib
सानी ने दोबारा
went back to Qadian.
जाने का इरशाद फरमाया।
In 1930, Hazrat Khalifah Masih Sani instructed him to go back to Sumatra. Hazrat Maulvi Sahib sent a request to Hazrat Khalifah Masih Sani for another missionary to be sent to help. This request was accepted by Hazrat Khalifah Masih Sani, and Hazrat Maulvi Sadiq Sahib was sent to Indonesia,
इंडोनेशिया में
and they both were in Indonesia.
जैसे जैसे अहमियत को फ़रोग़ हासिल होता जा रहा था,
As in Indonesia,
उसमें भी इजाफा होने लगा।
Jamaat Ahmadiyya grew and increased.
इब्तिदाअन
In line with that, the opposition to the Jamaat also increased.
ताकत कुआन की जमात
At the beginning, 3 Jamaats had to face this opposition.
और अहमदियों को बाकायदा नमाज
On the Tapa Town Jamaat,
वहाँ का जो मुकामी
the Raja there and the Ahmadis were actually forbidden from performing the namaz. That is, the local Raja, he forbid Ahmadis from performing namaz. The Friday prayers were also forbidden from being performed for Ahmadis. And tabligh propagation of the faith was also restricted. All of this was enforced. In the loose open Jamaat as well, the Raja there also caused a lot of hardships for the Ahmadis, and he compelled everybody that the promised Messiah alayhi salam, God forbid, should be called a liar and the Antichrist. Otherwise, you will be removed from this area if you do not say this. One Ahmadi, Guru Ali Sahib, he was removed from his office.
गांव से निकाल दिया गया।
And Abdul Jalil Sahib's younger brother, because of being Ahmadi, they were excommunicated from the village.
मौलवी अबू बकर अयूब साहब भी इस दौरान में फारग होकर कादियान से वहाँ आ गए थे।
Anyhow, Maulvi Abu Bakr Ayub Sahib, during this time, he had finished his work in Qadian and had come back to Indonesia. So in the area of Kasaran, he was performing tabligh, although tabligh was restricted there. One day after 12 o'clock, one of the police officers of the area, on the instruction of the Sultan, he came to arrest him. He'd note down all the names of the people there and say, you and your companions, you need to go to the Chief Justice and present yourself before him. When Mohtaram Maulvi Sahib in the morning and also his companions reached the office, so a volley of questions were thrown upon them. The Chief Sahib would ask questions and he wanted to arrest him. But by the grace of Allah, Maulvi Sahib, with great discernment and intelligence and wisdom, would reply to all the questions. The Chief Justice officer, he was quite impressed and he had a good perception because of these answers, and he accepted all of this, and this kept on going on. And he started getting more and more interested, and for almost half an hour he inquired further about Ahmadiyyat and learned about it. And then afterwards, great honor, he let them leave. As I have stated, that an Indonesian writer, with respect to the services of the Jamaat, he has mentioned it. That is, with respect to how Indonesia was established, I will briefly mention that. It has been mentioned already how Jamaat was established in Indonesia and what difficulties they faced in the early period. Opposition has always existed here in Indonesia. So what were the services of the Jamaat anyhow? I will mention this briefly, that in respect to the independence of Indonesia from the subcontinent of India, Pakistan, a lofty voice was raised by Hazrat Khalifah Masih Sani in favor of the independence, and he also asked other Muslims that for the sake of the independence of Muslim Indonesia, support it fervently and greatly. Hazrat Khalifah Masih Sani, he mentioned this in 16th August 1946 in one of his sermons. After this announcement of Hazur, apart from the local press in Qadian, also all the Ahmadis, for the sake of supporting Indonesia, they were told to also raise a lofty voice until finally Indonesia obtained independence. The details of this are also like this, that when the Japanese rule ended, Dr. Sukarno, on 7th August 1945, he announced the independence of Indonesia, and then a war against the Dutch government was performed all over the nation. At this time, the missionaries of Ahmadiyyat and also other Ahmadis, on the instructions of Hazrat Khalifah Masih Sani, they played an active role in the independence movement, and the missionaries of Ahmadiyyat and also the leaders of the Jamaat, they also supported the Republican movement. Sayyid Shah Muhammad Sahib, he reached Yogyakarta and he met Dr. Sukarno, and he requested Dr. Sukarno that I would like to take part in this independence movement and serve this nation. He was also a missionary. The President Sukarno, apart from other works, he also appointed him reading news in Urdu on the radio. Apart from him, Maulvi Abdul Wahid Sahib and also Malik Aziz Ahmad Khan Sahib, for 2 or 3 months, they also broadcasted on the radio and performed this work. Sayyid Shah Muhammad Sahib, he played a very active role in this movement. And in fact, the former Interior Minister, he said that he was so passionate and so active in it that the former Interior Minister said that Sayyid Shah Muhammad Sahib, we consider him as a member of this nation. He is not an Indian. In terms of the details of the Shah Muhammad Sahib services, they are like this. In terms of the role that he played in the independence of Indonesia and the services he carried out, praising them, on 3 August 1957, Indonesia gave him a certification of appreciation. And this certificate was given from the Information Minister, and it was said in it that Sayyid Shah Muhammad Sahib, head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Yogyakarta, these services and these excellent things that he has performed, we respect them greatly. What he has done for the Indonesian government and Indonesian nation and the Republic, the great endeavor that he has carried out for this independence at that time. In the capacity of the Ministry of Information, the Department of Publicity, in that position, that person, he always, according to his capabilities and always according to his qualities, with great fervor and great belief, he always tried to influence international people that the government of the Republic of Indonesia, it is based on truth and this movement is justified. And then it writes that in those days when the Dutch government in Yogyakarta tried to attack the Indonesian capital and seize it, at that time he also supported us and made great endeavor to help us. Then he writes, in light of the decision of the UNO, when the Dutch army had to leave Yogyakarta and a new government was established there, then at that time this person also was a member of that committee that was made for the sake of the re-establishment of the government of the Republic of Indonesia. Then he writes in the same place that when President Sukarno, after the detention of the Dutch government in Yogyakarta, then that person was also a member of that committee that welcomed President Sukarno. Then he writes that when, after taking control from the Dutch government, President Sukarno came to Jakarta, then that person was also a part of that delegation that was with President Sukarno, and he was the only person who was not an Indonesian national. When the government offices transferred to Yogyakarta, then this person, he worked for the Radio Publicity Indonesia, and he broadcasted Urdu programs very excellently for the sake of this. Of this, he fulfilled his role as in charge of the Ahmadiyya Muslim mission. The first president of Indonesia, as has been mentioned, he read the Quran and he read the translation from the Ahmadis. So he writes in one of his book, and the name of this book is Indonesian Di Bawah Bendera Revolusi. And he writes that although I do not agree with all the views of Ahmadiyyat, in fact I reject some of them, even then its teachings and the benefits, I am grateful for it, that I receive through its literature and writings, and that is exactly in line of new and forward thinking and something which enlightens the mind. So there are no just practical or verbal sacrifices, which is not just advice that he provided. In fact, in 1946, during the movement of independence, certain Ahmadi members as well, they sacrificed their life for the sake of this independence, became martyrs. Then Radin Muhammadin Sahib, who was the president of Jamaat Indonesia, he was a secretary of the committee of the independence movement of Indonesia. The Dutch army kidnapped him and then later they martyred him. So in the independence of Indonesia, the blood of Ahmadis is also included. So this was the services of Jamaat Ahmadiyya for Indonesia, and also this is the mention of what they did for the sake of Indonesia. But the scholars and those who are extremists, they continued their atrocities alongside this. Some old martyrs of Ahmadiyyat of Indonesia, I will mention them. In 1947, 6 Ahmadis were martyred. Mukarram Jaidat Sahib, Mukarram Sura Sahib, Mukarram Sairi Sahib, Mukarram Haji Hassan Sahib, Mukarram Radin Saleh Sahib, Mukarram Dahlan Sahib. These 6 members in Singapara West village, they attained martyrdom in this place. In the Wahhabi movement, Darul Islam, a movement with sticks and stones, they attacked the Ahmadis profusely. And in front of the household of these people, they very disgracefully attacked these people and dragged them out into the streets and kept on beating them until they were martyred. The Darul Islam group, they obligated them that before they die, leave Ahmadiyyat, but all of them remain steadfast on Ahmadiyyat. So this atrocious act also occurred with very old Ahmadis. In 1949, the following Ahmadis also attained martyrs, that is 2 years after this: Makaram Sanusi Sahib, Makaram Mo Sahib, Makaram Tahyan Sahib, Makaram Shahrumi Sahib, Makaram So Sahib, Makaram Jumli Sahib, Makaram Sarman Sahib, Makaram Oson Sahib, and Makarama Edot Sahib, Sahiba, or Makarama Onia Sahiba. They all received the status of martyrdom. The following people in Singaparna West village in Sangyan Labong, they attained martyrdom there. They also, the Wahhabi group, Darul Islam group, with sticks and stones, beat them and martyred them. They also were dragged outside of the village. And then in a very cruel way, they were beaten again and again and they were martyred. They were also compelled and obligated to repent from Ahmadiyyat, but they all rejected this and they showed steadfastness, remained steadfast on Ahmadiyyat. Then in terms of the opposition to Ahmadiyyat, another very extreme sequence started in 2001. And in this, Mukarram Papoob Hassan Sahib, on 22nd June 2001, he was martyred. He was 55 years old. And approximately 100 opponents of Ahmadiyyat in West Lombok, in a village, Lava, they attacked it there. The opponents of the Jamaat wanted to destroy the mosque, and Papoob Hassan Sahib and other Ahmadi friends together, they stood in front of the opponents who were coming to attack, and they were severely injured and they became unconscious and they went to the ground unconscious. They were sent to the hospital immediately, but because of extreme blood loss, they died en route to the hospital. He was 55 years old. In 2002, some government officials also joined up with these cruel people and wrongdoers, and various kinds of cruelties were perpetrated. In the area of Mansalore, the opponents upon the Jamaat Ahmadiyya's mosques and houses threw stones on it. The windows of 2 mosques and 42 houses were shattered. The local government issued an order to stop them, that Ahmadi people should not use the mosque. On 15 July 2005, in the main Jamaat Ahmadiyya's mosque and the headquarters, hundreds of opponents grabbed and seized it, and the Jamaat's building and properties were damaged. The police stood by observing all of this occurring. Some of the building was burnt and fired: the center, the mosque, the mission house, the all auxiliary organizations' offices. All of it was sealed by the government, and the government is now joining up with them. In 19 September 2005, 500 opponents in the region of Sianjo, 5 Jamaats were attacked there. All 5 mosques, these Jamaats were attacked quite seriously. The doors and the windows were shattered, and the mission house was also damaged. And a lot of material from there was looted, and a lot of it was burned. 86 houses were damaged, and things were damaged there. Some houses were also burnt. Material was looted. Also, the Ahmadiyya Madrasa was also damaged. The cars and motorcycles of the Jamaat were also burnt there. On 19 October 2005, at 9 o'clock at night, 100 opponents attacked the Jamaat in Katapang. 3 houses were damaged, 2 Ahmadis were wounded. These people who were actually in Panko and Selong, where the opponents also attacked. And these people were removed from the mosques and houses, and their houses were also burnt, and the mosque was also burnt of the Jamaat. So those people had migrated from that place, and they came to this place of Katapang. And then on 19 October 2005, they were also attacked here after migrating. Nonetheless, they bore all of these difficulties everywhere, and they remained completely steadfast on their faith. In February 2006, in West Lombok, in Katapang, it was attacked. 23 houses were damaged, 6 houses were burnt. The shops were also damaged of the people of the Jamaat. Their material was looted. Also other things were taken. 129 people became homeless of the Jamaat, and they had to leave this area. On 10 November 2007, in Pangovan, under the leadership of the local Molvi, the students of the madrasa, they fell down the mosque of the Jamaat, and 26 people had to leave their homes. In September 2007, the Masjid Mahmud in Singaparana from the opponents. They attacked it for the third time, and all the windows were completely shattered. The roof was also damaged. The office furniture and also materials were also damaged. On 18 December 2007, 500 opponents, they attacked the Jamaat. They were from the defense fronts at Majlis-e-Mujahideen, Indonesia. 2 mosques were damaged of the Jamaat, and they were also broken in every respect. The material within the mosque was also damaged, and the Qur'ans were also burnt. 9 mosques were sealed by the Indonesia. The houses were damaged, and it was damaged quite badly. 3 people were wounded. Anyhow, many people were compelled to move from there, and this is the same situation ensuing in many areas over there. So these are the previous circumstances in Indonesia. By the grace of Almighty Allah, these people displaying the strength of the faith, they have remained steadfast on their faith. And every evil they face with difficulty and with patience. Now these fresh martyrdoms that occurred, this is a continuation of that persecution and aggression that occurred many years ago. But as I have stated, this time the local press have spoken about it plainly, as well as the foreign press as well, and they have shown great courage in this way. Anyhow, these martyrdoms, I will now mention. The first martyr amongst this is Mr. Tubakos Chandra Mubarak Sahib. He was Ahmadi by birth, and he was 34 years old. He used to live in the headquarters of the Jamaat, and he has 1 wife in his house who was 5 months pregnant. After 8 years, the first child was to be born. He wished that the child should join Waqf-e-Nau. He had filled all the application forms for Waqf-e-Nau, but had not sent them to the Markaz yet. Inshallah, that will reach, and he will be joined into Waqf-e-Nau. Chandra Sahib was the Secretary of Agriculture, and he was also responsible for the central area. He was a very sincere and active member in the Jamaat. He used to give chanda regularly. His whole family is also very sincere. A few days before the incident, his wife said that the attack where this place has occurred, do not go there. I am 5 months pregnant, you should take care of me. Either take care of me or take care of the Jamaat. He said, at this time I give preference to the Jamaat. He was only to go there as a driver. And he was to take those people who were doing duties there, that is the Khuddam. When he was there, then the attack occurred. The deceased used to treat his workers very well. He used to perform every prayers in congregation in the mosque. And he used to also tell his wife to perform the prayers in this way. Tubakos Chandra Mubarak Sahib, whose name is being mentioned just now, he was inside the mission house, and he was in front of all the other Khuddam. The opponents attacked him with knives, and in a very cruel way they attacked him. Then they hung him and they kept on beating him. Then afterwards they brought him down and they started hitting him with stones and beating him with sticks until his body was mutated. First his corpse was not being recognized. Then the Chandra Sahib's younger brother, he came and identified him through 1 mark on his stomach that this is his brother Chandra Sahib. The second martyr is Ahmad Warsono Sahib. He is from North Jakarta and he was 38 years old. In 2002, he performed the Bayat, the Pledge of Allegiance. Apart from his wife, he has 4 children. He was introduced to Ahmadiyyat in 2000. Hazrat Khalif Tamsi Rabe, may Allah be pleased with him, went to Indonesia. An Ahmadi friend gave him literature to read. So he read it with great interest. And after studying for 2 years, he decided to take the Pledge of Allegiance. Afterwards, his wife also took the Pledge of Allegiance, and they became very steadfast on Ahmadiyyat very quickly. Before entering Ahmadiyyat, he did not treat his parents well. But after he entered Ahmadiyyat, then his parents were very happy, because his moral standards became good. And he would respect his parents and would respect them and treat them gently. His spiritual rank also increased. He said, when I performed the Tabligh propagation faith, I feel like I am being helped from the heavens. Allah has fulfilled all my needs, he said. One day he was in dire need of money because he needed to pay the rent of the house, and he also needed to fulfill his daily requirements. He prayed fervently, and after a while somebody came and he took him for some work, and the money he obtained from it all his needs. He had a great need that in his life he should be able to help others. He saw a dream, and Hazrat Khalifa Masih I, Hazrat Khalifa Masih II, Hazrat Khalifa Masih III, and Hazrat Khalifa Masih IV, he met all of them. So Varsano Sahib also managed to attain some bayats. He really liked Tabligh. He was a very courageous person. He came afterwards, but he excelled even those who came before. The incident of the martyrdom was such that the Varsano Sahib was inside the mission house. They used knives and sticks and they beat him in a very cruel manner. His corpse was taken, and then in front of people they kept on beating the corpse. The police kept watching all of this and observed this. The corpse could not be recognized. In fact, another khadim. He mistakenly thought it was somebody else. But then later, when it was seen properly, it came to light that this was actually Varsano Sahib and not the other person, Roni Pasarani Sahib. At the time of his martyrdom, his age was 35 years. He took the Pledge of Allegiance, the Bayat, at 11 January 2008. He had only been an Ahmadi for 2 years. He lived in North Jakarta. Apart from his wife, he had 2 children, that is daughters of 5 and 6. Before he took the Pledge of Allegiance, he was a very bad person. In fact, he did many bad things. He found out about Ahmadiyya from Varsano Sahib, who was martyred. He saw in a dream once that he met a noble and a holy person who was wearing a turban. So one day, he went to meet Varsano Sahib in his house, and he saw on the picture on the wall the promised Messiah alayhi salam, and he said, I saw him in a dream, and this is how he came closer to Ahmadiyyah, and he researched and studied more into Ahmadiyya. So therefore, in 2008, Roni Sahib was unable to enter Ahmadiyyat, and he took the Bayat, the Pledge of Allegiance. After he entered Ahmadiyyat, he totally transformed, and his wife was extremely surprised that how did the spiritual revolution inculcate within Roni Sahib? Allah the Almighty must have liked some kind of his piety, otherwise how did Allah the Almighty enable him to accept Ahmadiyyat and leave everything before? He left all vices and also was enabled to attain martyrdom. Apart from 5 daily prayers, he also performed the Tahajjud prayers. He would read Jamaat books with great interest, and he would contribute to Janda regularly. He was very courageous and bold. In these 2 years he was Ahmadi, he carried out a lot of tabligh, and as a result of this tabligh, he attained many bayats. Another significant thing is that he often used to say that I desire to die as a martyr, so Allah the Almighty has fulfilled that desire of him. Mukarram Roni Pasarani Sahib's martyrdom was like Varsano Sahib. The opponents also beat him with knives and other weapons, and they dragged his body outside and they disgraced his body similarly. And then he was also mutilated. So he says, these are those people who Allah the Almighty has given the glad tidings of paradise. They are those who have attained the everlasting life. They are those who are illuminating stars in the heavens of Ahmadiyyat. May Allah the Almighty increase them in rank continuously, and may Allah the Almighty also grant their family comfort and solace. May Allah the Almighty increase the faith in the hearts of every Ahmadi of Indonesia. With regard to the promised Messiah alayhi salam's kashf, his vision, in terms of following the footsteps of Hazrat Sahibzada Mirza Abdul Latif Shaheed, he also mentioned about other people who would be like him. So this mention also includes people who live in far away and far off places. So many of these people have not even seen the Khulafai of Ahmadiyyat, but their faith is peerless and their loyalty with Khilafat is notable. I have mentioned the promised Messiah alayhi salam's kashf, his vision, in previous sermons as well. I will repeat that here. The vision is this, that I saw in a state of kashf, in vision, that a tall tree was cut from the ground. And I said, bury this again in the ground, so that it can prosper and bloom. The Promised Messiah ﷺ says that, so therefore I have interpreted this to mean that Allah the Almighty will replace Sahibzada Abdul Latif with many other people. Hazur says that many other people like Sahibzada Abdul Latif will appear. So these martyrs, attaining their rank and status, and leaving examples worthy of being followed, having departed this world, they have submitted themselves before Almighty Allah. And living even thousands of miles from Qadian, they are those who have proven the truthfulness of the Promised Messiah ﷺ, but those who have been left behind. We must always assess our spiritual state and condition. After every martyrdom, we must pledge that because of this cruelty and wrongdoing, not only will we not let our faith go to waste, but in fact we will ensure that it strengthens, and we will make efforts to this effect, inshallah, God willing. We will not do any such act which will damage our values or our patience, or which will damage our loyalty with our nation. As I have already stated, Jamaat Indonesia Jamaat played a role in the inception or establishment of Indonesia. Every member of the Jamaat, wherever he lives, he is loyal to his nation, and he should be loyal to his nation. And inshallah, God willing, he will always remain loyal to his country. The measure and requirement of loyalty is that we should always pray that may Allah the Almighty free our country from the clutches of cruel and wrongdoing people, and may not such a dictator come who does not know mercy, who leads the country. For worldly redress, we do take measures, but we do not take the law in our own hands. Yes, we do submit before our Lord. Instead of opposing against the law, most of all we submit to Allah Almighty, and our support relies on the help and succor of Allah. And now, as always, we will submit ourselves before Almighty Allah. Always pray, Rabbana afriq alayna sabra wa sabbit aqdamana wansurna ala al-qawmil kafirin. May any of us, may none of us ever show any weakness in our faith. The Promised Messiah, peace be upon him, mentioning the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, states in one place that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, taught the companions to inculcate patience. All the enemies were eventually destroyed. A time is near when you will see that these evil people will not be seen anymore. Allah the Almighty has decreed and willed that He will spread this pious Jamaat in the world. He said, if Allah so desires, then these people would not afflict harm, and those people who afflict harm would not even be born. But through these people, Allah the Almighty wants to give the teaching of patience. The Promised Messiah ﷺ states, that person who afflicts harm, he either repents, the final result will be either he repents or he is destroyed. Whoever is inflicting harm upon us, some will repent and will reform, or otherwise they will be destroyed. So therefore, with prayer and with patience, in order to obtain the purport, it is the obligation of every Ahmadi that he must progress and advance. May Allah the Almighty give us strength to do this, and may He bring to an end these evil people. May we be those who see the fulfillment of the prophecies of the Promised Messiah, peace be upon him. May Allah take us in His protection, and when He bring the enemies under His wrath. We have no personal enmity with our enemies. All of this that is happening is because of the opponent's opposition to the promised Messiah alayhi salam. Whatever is happening with Ahmadis, the excesses of this are being visible now. May Allah the Almighty make the enemies a sign of warning to take lesson from for other people. And those people who are not destined to be reformed by Allah, may Allah bring them under His wrath very quickly. Those who are wounded and injured, pray for them as well. May Allah the Almighty cure them and bring them back to health quickly. 3 injured people are still in hospital, while 2 have been released from hospital because their health has returned to good state. I would like to say to the Indonesian Ahmadis in particular that the prayers of all Ahmadis are with you. Various letters are being sent to me, and people are expressing concern and anxiety for you. These scenes of cruelty that have been seen on various websites that were shown. So this has immersed every Ahmadi in great agony and grief, because of which they are praying for you. May Allah the Almighty keep every Ahmadi in His protection, and may Allah the Almighty safeguard all Ahmadis from all intrigues, and may He remove the intrigues of the enemies. I will perform the funeral prayers and abstentions of these martyrs, and with this, yesterday in Murdan an incident took place in the Punjab regiment through a suicide attack. There the army were giving training. Amongst them there was a person who was an Ahmadi, Munir Ahmed, who was also there. He was receiving training there, and perhaps he had the passing out grade or so. So anyhow, he is also included in this funeral prayers for the martyrs. May Allah the Almighty grant him forgiveness. 2 of our Waqf-e-Zindagi missionaries, Mahmood Ahmed Munir Sahib, missionary, and Mubashir Ahmed Sahib, he was a nephew of those. He was only 21 years old, this youngster. May Allah the Almighty grant his parents endurance, tolerance and patience.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر.